Hello again, Sling. All right, everything's working now. Simply, turn it off, turn it back on, blow on it, Then suddenly everything works. I didn't do anything. I just turned my computer off and back on. Ugh. All right, just put out a video on this tornado season. Let's let some people hop in here. Let's let some people get in here. All right. Okay, let's let some people get in here. Hey, what's going on, Kyle? March 20th, there's something brewing. Yeah, I've been seeing the 17th through the 19th. The teleconnections have been... I've been saying I think that might be kind of our last big hoorah for winter, especially out east. That time frame, third, fourth, mid to late third week of March. So right now I'm thinking 17th through the 19th of March. There's just... we've got three globals that show a big kind of driving vertical trough, bringing freezing temperatures back down to Louisiana around the 19th and 20th. So I think that might be that, like I said, like the last big hurrah for winter. I think after that we'll probably see a consistent warm up. Notice as the big temp differences between warm east and cold west will cause severe weather. I mean, yeah, but yeah. That's what causes it typically. And in a weak La Nina, Enzo neutral, we get that split but in the country a lot. A lot of our worst tornado seasons are weak La Ninas, which is what we're in. I just posted a video talking about this year's tornado season. There's people saying it could be record breaking. I agree, but I kind of just dive a little bit deeper into why I agree. I don't want to just agree on the surface. Trying to actually show you guys what's going on. We've got the Gulf that's approaching 1.5 degrees Celsius above average. That doesn't seem like a lot, but that is a lot with water temperatures. They may move up and down much slower. Provides a lot more moisture, humidity, energy into the air, heat. And when you're in a weak La Nina, you have a really fluctuating jet stream that can dive down and pull that moisture up to the north. That's one big issue. That's what could cause a lot of severe weather and tornadoes this spring. That's kind of the main driving factor. We're going to have a jet stream that looks to be set up correctly. We're going to have a high pressure that wants to settle into the southwestern U.S., which is going to amplify our dry line. And then we're going to be experiencing much warmer waters in the Gulf, which is going to provide a lot more energy up into Dixie Alley, which is also why not only are they expecting above average potentially doesn't mean it's going to be, but a chance for a record-breaking season. They're also expecting that to be aimed more towards Dixie Alley. Specifically, this region right here. Okay, your tornado alley in comparison is kind of here. So they can kind of, so this would be your typical tornado alley. Can I draw on this? How good am I at this? Tornado alley. Okay, and your Dixie is actually like over here. You would consider Dixie portions of Louisiana, Arkansas, Mississippi, Western Tennessee, Alabama, southeastern Missouri. So this is your typical tornado alley, and you can see they're actually expecting the worst of the worst out here. Doesn't mean this is going to happen. This is an outlook. Based on everything we can see, we expect the worst tornadoes to be a little bit farther east. Again, what are the factors? I should have... Man, I should have kept this on the screen. NOAA. I think they still have it as Gulf of Mexico. So this is an issue. This is our first issue here. Let's go back. Let's see here. 1 second, guys. Monitoring conditions. SST. There's Revolution. That's not what I want. I just had all these up. I should have just kept it there. Let me do this. 1 second, guys. 1 second. I don't know why. I should have just kept everything that I just made my video with. Let's do... Let's do this. 1 second, guys. I'm pulling back up something that I want to show you guys. A few things that I want to show you guys. Let's get some of this back up here. 1 second. Okay. Current. Nope. Sorry guys, give me a second. I want to show you guys some what I was looking at earlier for the video that I put together. God, why did I close everything out? Why am I so dumb sometimes, chat? Why am I so silly? Okay. Chat. Yes, this is our spring outlook, basically. March, April, May. Okay. Will this be correct? I don't know. They really messed up winter. Warm air down here. This is more energy for storms, averaged cool air up to the north. This interaction, this boundary is obviously something that can create more severe weather. But that combined with well above average Gulf. Here's our average down here. Here's our average. Here's our average right here. Okay, here's where we are. All right, that's a lot of extra energy off the Gulf. A lot of extra moisture with these warm temperatures down there in the southeast projected by NOAA as well. We're also expected to be staying in a weak La Nina through spring. Weak La Ninas are an issue. Can create a lot of issues when it comes to severe weather. Because what they tend to do is be a little bit unstable. So you can get a lot of this and a lot of this. And what does this do? This pulls this moisture and this energy off the Gulf. If you have an El Nino, typically you're going to have a stronger jet. And you're not going to be getting this fluctuation in this kind of pattern. See, say this is our La Nina jet stream, how it wants to set up. This can pull in some southwesterly winds. This just brings in all that moisture and instability from the Gulf, not just from the Gulf, from an above average Gulf, from a very hot Gulf. And El Nino a lot of times will just rip across the Gulf. It's not going to pull that up into the States. So there's a lot of different factors here that are making this spring tornado season very sketchy looking for a lot of people, who weather enthusiasts, meteorologists. There's one more thing I wanted to show you, and this is probably the most significant. It's a pretty interesting visual, at least in my opinion. Let me show you this real quick. Let me show you this. 1 second. Where did I put this? Was it here? Okay. This is another thing I wanted to show you guys. The difference between... Can this... Oh, no. 1 second. Sorry, guys. My computer's not working with me. I'll just do this. The difference between... I'll get to chat in a second, I swear. The difference between an El Nino and La Nina year, it can be pretty drastic. Example A. Notice. The darker the purple, the more severe weather that's involved with it for spring, okay? Notice tornado and hail in a La Nina for spring and an El Nino. Well below average, weak season. Strong season, okay? We are in here. We are here. You are right here. Okay? There's really not much I can point to that would tell me that this that we have a chance of this being a below average season. If this were to be a below average season, it would be luck. We would get luck. It would be lucky because we know our jet stream's not going to want to operate how an El Nino operates. We know for a fact we're not thinking our Gulf waters are going to be warmer than normal. We expect them. I mean, they already are above average. Unless we get some freak early April or May, or April hurricanes that cause a ton of upwelling in the Gulf, that above average temperature Gulf is sticking around. So there's a lot of factors that are just already in place. It'd be very, very difficult to have a below average season. Average maybe, but it's probably going to be an above average season. Record breaking is a possibility for tornadoes this year. Spring tornado season. And I know I just went and closed out of all that instead of just keeping it open. God, I'm so dumb. I just did it again, guys. Okay. Next Friday, I heard severe weather. Yeah. You know, it's pretty far out, guys. This severe weather event, again, second one straight, was kind of a bust. There were tornadoes. There were damaging winds. There were hail. There was a blizzard. But we actually expected it all to be a little bit worse. Here is our setup. Very similar setup. Look at the 976 low. Very similar setup to the storm we just saw. We could see part 2 next weekend. So, but until then, the storm moves out. We've got heavy snow through the Rockies, and then some thunderstorms in the south. But overall, other than the snow that's in the Rockies, that's going to move into thunderstorms in the south, which aren't supposed to be not much of a severe threat with any of this. Well, let's take a look here. 1 to 8. Yeah, the SBC isn't seeing much. So it's going to be pretty quiet, other than some snow in the Rockies and some general thunderstorms as this storm moves out, and some general thunderstorms down in the south. Quiet. But again, yes, we are expected to pop off next weekend again with this big system right here. Now the Euro has it closer to Saturday. Not America, but first cyclone to hit Brisbane, Australia in 60 years is about to hit. Yeah. Once it making landfall is a Cat 1. I've been so busy with work, I didn't even notice this was going on. I typically focus more on the States, but I do like to know what's going on around the country. Every now and then I make videos on stuff that's going on around the country. It's so weird seeing hurricanes and cyclones spinning clockwise because they don't do that in the Northern Hemisphere. It always trips me up. There it is. You can see the issue that it's having, which is good. Just look at all this dry air. I mean, you can tell where your center of circulation is. Your low is right here at the top of the storm. So this is a tilted. Yeah, this hurricane is tilted down to the south. All that convection's displaced down to the south because of this dry air. We can kind of see, I'm trying to see, you can see the shear. Look at the shear up to the north too. You've got dry air and a ton of shear out here. You're seeing, you want to see for a strengthening system, you want to see the clouds kind of fanning out. Let me actually move this over. You guys can't see this very well. Sorry. You want to see these clouds kind of fanning out, and it's not doing this. What a hurricane is, a tropical cyclone, guys, and a hurricane is more of a, it's more of a high pressure than a low pressure. Guys, this is going to be more of a casual talk. I am going to get to I am getting to chat, but spring, yeah. I'll get back to that in a second, Fade. What's going on, Fade? Their final hope, Connor. I'll show you the polar vortex again. Shout out, Matt. Inception, I see. That's right. Oh, back in my heyday. So the center of a cyclone hurricane is the low pressure. It's the very center of it. You have rapidly rising air, very, very low pressure. You have air. You have rapidly diverging air up at the tropopause. So you have wind and air moving away from each other rapidly up at the top of the tropopause, at the top of the troposphere where the tropopause is, where all the weather happens. Wind and air is moving away, creating a vacuum for the air at the surface, air particles at the surface to rise and fill. Those air particles, as they're rising and filling that air up there from the diverging air, bring up with it a lot of moisture. That moisture goes up, fills, condenses into clouds, and then it fans out, and the hurricane strengthens. It's basically like a self-sufficient engine. It just feeds itself and grows stronger if it's in the right conditions. But all of this on the outside of a hurricane is actually a high pressure. All of it on the outside is a high pressure. Your air is slamming down, is pushing down. That's why you get rainfall and you get none in the center. So your whole cyclone is a high pressure, but the very center of your cyclone is a low pressure. What this dry air is doing is it's this shear is it's suffocating your low, and it's wanting to basically prevent that rapid ascension of air particles and moisture. Meaning this storm can't be self-sufficient anymore, and it's not. It's just a very unfavorable environment. Eventually, this thing's gonna get choked out. It's expected to make landfall still, I think, with the ensembles as a 985 millibar hurricane. Let me look at some of the other. What do we got here? GEPS 1002 millibar. I think that's more realistic. I think it might not even make landfall as a tropical storm based on how it looks right now. But what I do want to look at, this is my. I don't know. Can I use it here? Let's use the HWRF HAVZ. Here we go. Actually, we'll use. Yeah, I want to use the HAVZ. Next gen model. About 990 at landfall, 994, and then our HWRF Hurricane Weather Research Forecast. No, Hurricane and Weather Research Forecasting System. Correct me if I'm wrong. 986. Well, I mean, it really has it gaining a little bit of strength. Maybe moving into a slightly more favorable environment right before it hits the shore. Let's see. Yeah, HAVZ A. I like the HAVZ A. I think it does good. So HAVZ A 990 at landfall about. Luckily, not too strong, but still something you got to take seriously. All right, that's in Australia. I could show you it actually. I could show you it on Radar Omega. Here you go. I'll do it real quick. Real quick. Here you go. Let me switch this cam for you. There you go. Here it is. Gold Coast, Brisbane, Sunshine Coast, Gold Coast. This is actually a pretty populated area. So this is our HWRF. Hurricane Weather Research Forecasting Systems. This is a very good strength model. So this thing is expected to make landfall really within the next 24 hours. Right into Brisbane. Brisbane? Is it Brisbane? Brisbane? I know I'm saying that wrong and someone's laughing at me. How to pronounce... I think it's Brisbane. Pronounce... Brisbane. You're like, stop saying Brisbane. Do you even know what the term bomb cyclone is, Connor? Of course I do. Yes, of course I do. Bomb cyclone is an actual meteorological word. It is. Yeah. All a bomb cyclone is a rapidly, a low pressure that is rapidly decreasing. So when you have a low pressure anywhere, I mean, it can be moving. I mean, we basically had a bomb cyclone moving across the states, but your typical bomb cyclones are going to be at the higher mid latitudes, and a lot of times they're associated with Arctic air slamming into, like, you get bomb cyclones all the time. You get bomb cyclones all the time out here in the Pacific because you have extremely cold air from the north out here. It's two very different air boundaries colliding. Very cold Arctic air with some very humid warm air down in the Pacific. Let me switch this here. And when you have two huge air masses colliding, you get a low pressure that just rapidly decrease. You get a cyclone. It's not a hurricane, but it's a storm with cyclonic motion, and you get these big, massive air masses that clash, and you get a rapidly dropping low pressure. And so this thing can go from 1,001 millibars to 945. It's in like 24 hours. They just drop. And that's what we call a bomb cyclone. They're just huge cyclonic low pressure systems. They don't have the strength, even though they have the millibars of like a Cat 4 hurricane, they don't have the strength because it's over a much bigger area. So hurricanes are much smaller and their energy is much more concentrated, while your bomb cyclones are these massive low pressure systems, and you don't have a extreme concentrated area of wind and low pressure. It's a much wider area. So as that increases with size, it decreases the intensity over the distance. So sometimes people, I've seen people be like, oh, it's 949 millibar low. It's like a Cat 4 hurricane off the coast. It's a bomb cyclone. It's too big, and it's big air masses. It's not. Hurricanes are very tight. When you have a 949 millibar hurricane or typhoon, it's a very small, tight system, and that compacts the energy, which intensifies it on the surface, unlike a bomb cyclone. Bomb cyclones are still crazy. I mean, they can put 100-mile-per-hour wind gust into the coast. They're like crazy systems, but they're not comparable to a typhoon or a hurricane of the same pressure. Rain totals for where, Matt? Fade, what do you mean spring PFP? Predictions? Of Brisbane? I guess I think Brisbane. Yeah, we can look at that real quick. We can do that. You know what I just realized I need to do? I'm always clicking through these different images. I can just create different scenes and click on the scenes. I'm so dumb. I need to set up my scenes correctly so it doesn't take me as long to show you this stuff. I've been delaying that way too long. Okay. Sure, let's go into... We'll look at our GFS. We'll show us pretty decent rain totals. At least it should. Oh, I don't know if it's going to show me it over here in Australia. That's the problem. Yeah, well, total precipitation. Okay. I lied. It's a global. Okay. This is not going to be an empty circle. That's just a radar issue. Whoa! I hope this is wrong for your guys' sake. Almost 15 inches of rain. Wait. Is this thing going to stall? Hold up. Let's go over 20. Let's just go over 72.96. Okay. Yeah, so over the next 4 to 5 days, almost 15 inches of rain. This would be very bad. Is anyone in this chat over here? Are they talking about these rainfall totals over there? Yeah. by the look at this, okay, so someone said expect it to stall. By the look at this, you only get these totals when you have a stalling low pressure. There's no way you would have these totals if this thing moved right through. That is, yeah. So let's take a look at the composite. Wow. Yeah, you can see. I mean, it just stops here. Okay, so here it comes in. Oh, and look, it just stalls basically for a little bit. Moves in, and it really slows down. Oh my God. You have heavy downpours in some areas sitting there for, let's see. I mean, potentially 60 to 70 hours of rainfall. Wow. 15 inches of rainfall over 3 to 4 days, guys. That would cause potentially historic flooding. Let's hope this thing breaks up a little bit more than that. We need that dry air to really eject itself into this system a little bit more than what we saw earlier. Let me see. One second, guys. One second, guys. Snowing pretty hard. Matt, where are you? Are you in Michigan? Well, it's not snowing very hard many places right now. Oh, this is this is Australia, guys. Yeah. This is Australia, and we got storm about to make landfall. Probably as a Cat 1. Tropical storm, actually. Yeah, tropical storm. Pretty strong tropical storm. Not like a super weak one, but we'll see if it maintains its strength. It's a strong tropical storm right now. The H-Wharf has it making landfall with like 988 millibars. You can still be a Cat 1 at that point, but I actually agree it's going to be a tropical storm because we looked at the radar earlier, and it is... Let's go back and take a look at this really quickly. It is... Hello, H-Wharf. Oh, there we go. No. Can we... It's not allowing me to... Yeah, there's a lot of dry air to the north. There's some wind shear up here to the northeast, and this is a big pocket of dry air, which is why this isn't wrapping around. The shear actually is causing more of that, but here it is. Look at this thing. Oh my gosh, look at this thing stalling on the H-Wharf. Look at this, stalling over Brisbane. That is a long period of time to be in that rainfall. Insanity. Is it going to snow in PA on Sunday? I don't think so. Our model trended towards the euro. You know, I was talking about this in the beginning, or a little bit ago. It looks to me like our last kind of big winter weather event for a lot of us in the States is going to come around March 17th through the 19th. That time frame. We're seeing a big Arctic blast pushing down into the east. And after that, it looks like we may get a pretty consistent warm-up. So I may be ready to declare winter's over come March like 22nd after that system moves through. We do have some good model consensus on a pretty big Arctic blast and pretty significant trough digging down. I mean, right now you have the Euro and GFS calling for the possibility of freezing actual temperatures down into Louisiana around March 19th. So once that moves out, we may be sticking into spring officially, but we do see that happening. You know, there's agreement on it. They could start to disagree, but there are 3 models that agree on that time frame. I'll show you. I mean, I'll show you what our euro's looking like. Here's a. I mean, look what's happening on our euro out here. Big, big, big. This is freezing. I mean, if you wanted to look at the wind chills, this is the 20th. This would be a big, major, major, major cold front. Major cold front. Look at these. Look at these feels like down into Texas. I mean, we're talking the end of March, and we're this would probably bring freezing feels like down into Louisiana, down into Houston and New Orleans as this moves out off to the east. So, you know, this right here does have the potential to put a major snowstorm somewhere out here. This would probably, in my opinion, end up being our last chance at a good snowstorm. Central, South, Mid-Atlantic, Midwest. Maybe not Midwest, but if you're talking about Ohio Valley, South Central, and up towards the Mid-Atlantic, because you can see that's the Euro. It's far out, but when you have model agreement and teleconnection agreement on the trough this far out, actually more often than not you'll see something like it. The GFS brings, look where the GFS brings in this cold air. These are the feels like, but you get freezing air. So let's just go to regular temperatures for the GFS out in that time frame. I mean, we're literally talking about temperatures almost down into the, almost bringing freezing air down into the panhandle of Florida late into March. That's pretty rare. So we'll watch this. I'm not going to confirm. You can actually see this low pressure spinning on the temperature map here. Right there. Let's watch what happens when I go to 228 on the precipitation. There it is. So we'll see. You know, look what the GFS brings a big snowstorm up in almost a nor'easter actually up into the Mid-Atlantic and Northeast, but this is way at the end of the model run, so we don't want to take that future radar seriously yet. But the troughing could be there because we do have some strong agreement on that. So we need time on that. We can't take that too seriously yet, but there's some agreement on it. What's the 18Z look like for that time frame? Yeah, look at that. The 18Z has a big snowstorm for the Mid-Atlantic and New England. 2, actually. End of March. I was talking about this, I think, at the end of February. I said that I thought we'd get our last big snowstorm. I said at least through the 3rd week of March. But after this, I think we'd probably see a pretty consistent warm-up. Something to watch. You know, this could end up being a dud, so don't get too excited, guys. It's tough to get this cold air down here this late, but there are multiple global models that agree. And the more important part is they agree on the same time frame. So they're picking up data the exact same way, including the teleconnection ensembles. Yeah, the polar vortex is still looking like it. That's one of the reasons we're seeing this craziness out there in the 3rd week of March, potentially getting freezing air down into the panhandle of Florida, not even including wind chills. So, and what that's expected to do, this big split that we're going to get in the polar vortex too, is kind of protect this region up here. Because last year we actually had, into March and early April, we actually had some tornado outbreaks up here, farther up here, because it was so warm. This year, our tornado issues in early March through early April are actually expected to be compressed down here, almost under central Indiana, Illinois, Ohio. So part of that is because we're expecting this air up here to be much colder than it was last year. We have a lot more ice on the Great Lakes as well. It's gonna help with stability to the north. I got a headache. Oh, I'll pull up the polar vortex. Let me take some ibuprofen. Oh, my head's hurting, guys. One second, guys. I'll be right back. Back chat. I'm back. So, yeah. Here you go. Here you go. Look at this. See this? This is only about 5 days out. That's very cold displaced stratospheric air to the south. There is a separate vortex. There's a vortice forming over the states. Look at this, guys. This is assisting. This is going to assist with this third into fourth week of March potential snow, southern cold outbreak, Arctic blast, and I'm not saying we're going to get a southern snow system, but we'll have some freezing air much farther south than it should be in late March because of this, of what's happening in the stratosphere. Big stratospheric warming event up in Canada and Alaska too. This is going to help build a ridge. We are expecting to have a negative NAO, although our AO has moved back up positive a little bit. Here's what it looks like on our anomaly. Look at that. I wonder what the GFS is. The GFS saw this thing splitting into 3 vortices originally. It still kind of does, almost. You can see there, wants to put another one out there. Interesting. Let me look at it like this. Wow. Yeah, the GFS is doing crazy stuff too. It has 3 vortices there as well. That's why spring's going to be pushed back a tiny bit. Local weather saying 50s, 60s next week in the Northeast. Yeah. Yeah, we're going to have a big warm up. Everyone's going to get fooled again, okay? Everyone's going to get fooled again, okay? And I'll tell you why. You get a little hot air and you think it's done. Winter's done. I mean, look at these temperatures next weekend in the Northeast. 20 degrees above average, holding for quite a while, especially in the Mid-Atlantic. 20, 30 degrees above average. I mean, we're holding. We're looking like we could be warm, New England, but especially the Mid-Atlantic. For quite a while. I mean, really above average temperatures starting around next Tuesday and then holding all the way through through the weekend. And then here comes what would be very, very cold, potentially record-breaking cold air for the third week of March out here. Now, the GFS and Euro see it, but it's far out, so we need to wait a little bit longer to see if the signal changes. But this could cause some winter-like weather, so we'll wait until after this to declare your winter is done. We will wait until after this. This is just too strong signal to not take seriously, with 3 globals seeing the same thing and our teleconnections agreeing, and our ensembles. What is going on, Brittany? Did you change your name? Jen B, what's going on? Suzette, Fav, Matt, Landon, NTX. I appreciate you guys. Sandy, Jose, I appreciate you. Yali, what's poppin'? Andrea, Nick, and Sbesh. Any stuff for Northern Virginia? Not in the immediate forecast. But again, I don't think your winter's over yet. I think we have to wait until we see this. All the models do have this big, really gigantic push of cold air near somewhere between the. I would say to be somewhere between the 17th and 21st. I want to give it a wider because it's pretty far out, so I want to give it a wider time frame. So. If this signal starts to go away, maybe we'll start to, maybe our winter's winding down. But I expect the signal to hold, and then we'll see our winter wind down after that. We are going to get pretty warm, especially out in the eastern kind of Midwest, Ohio Valley, and especially in the Mid-Atlantic next week through really next almost Monday through Sunday. Next Tuesday through Sunday, we're going to get pretty warm. What is this headache out of nowhere? Yeah, severe weather is expected to actually. Last year it was very warm, and you had March and April severe weather. March and early April severe weather actually occurring up here in the Midwest a few times. That's actually not really. It could happen, but the temperatures, you have so much more ice on the lakes, and the temperatures up here have been so much cooler. You have much more stability up here in your atmosphere this March, and we expect it to stay that way moving into April. That the projections are really for the worst severe weather for the first month and a half of spring to be focused in actually into Dixie Alley, but compressed down to the south of the Midwest for the most part. As we get into late tornado season, they expect it to actually expand out a little bit closer to normal Tornado Alley. But the worst of it looks to... People are very concerned about Dixie Alley this year. I appreciate it, Alley. This is Pivotal Weather. Colorado looks like you're getting a lot of snow right now, or a lot of snow's moving in. And then again, look what happens next week. As we get into next Thursday and over the weekend, a huge snow again, and then a huge snow again. And Colorado looks to get some really, really nice snow over the next 7 to 10 days, piling up. Temperatures, you're getting some troughing as well. So on and off troughing, your temperatures are going to remain slightly below average on the whole for the next 2 weeks. Not the whole time, but as an average over the next 2 weeks, your temperatures will be below average. Yeah, White Lotus hat. I love that show. Connor wearing some drip. Guys, I'm wearing a white t-shirt and a generic hat. You know what I mean? You guys are used to seeing me in a hoodie every night. My Dolphins hoodie. What's going on, Nate? The snow definitely switched over earlier than they predicted this morning. There are some really good snow totals. There's some really good snow totals from this system that moved through. It is an interesting show. I would love to get into storm chasing. Shadow. My wife might kill me, though. How's Florida looking next week? Look at that. Calm. Maybe a little bit of bad weather rolling through on Thursday. But really, for the most part, Florida's looking like it's going to be kind of pretty warm and dry. Connecticut snow, you know, who knows if you get one of these clipper systems. No, you're not expected to right now. But again, you know, there's signals out here from the Euro and from the GFS as we get out towards the 17th through the 21st that we could see. You can see all of this stuff that's going on up here. We got a low, big digging trough of cold air, moisture off the coast, moisture, snow off to the west. The GFS pulls this in as snow, big snow for Connecticut. See, and then a second chance there. So, you know, that's why I'm saying hold off on saying winter's over until we let the system move through on the out there in the third week of March. We have some agreement on it. Oh yeah, we could get a replica of the storm we just saw in Wisconsin. Look at this. Next week, we'll see if this thing digs a little bit farther south. That could be more snow for Wisconsin. Right here, next Friday into Saturday. This GFS wants it a little bit farther north. I believe the Euro wants it farther south, but let me take a look. Yeah, Euro wants it farther south, putting some good snow into Wisconsin there, and the Twin Cities again. Look at the West, guys. 6 to 10 day temperature outlook, 8 to 14 day temperature outlook. Although as this is up until the 19th, I do think from about the 17th to the 26th, we'll probably see this cold air farther out east. Wet March. Please tell me no rain for the 15th. Oh, that's gonna be tough. That's 10 days out. Um, oof. I mean, right now, the American doesn't see any for that time frame. More importantly, the Euro doesn't see any for that time frame, Yali. So, uh, right now you look safe. Does the Canadian? Neither does the Canadian. Right now you're safe. We'll see in a couple days, a few days. Right now the models do not show moisture in your area on the 15th. Denver over the next about week and a half, 10 days is going to be, if you were to average really the next 2 weeks together, all the days over the next 2 weeks together, you're going to be slightly below average temperature wise in Denver. And you'll likely be above average with precipitation, including above average snowfall potentially. I appreciate the follows, appreciate the subs, guys. Thank you. I typically do watch March Madness. I've just been so busy this year that I've been doing this more. That like all my free time goes into this, so I haven't been paying attention as much this year. I went to Florida State, so I'm a Seminole. They haven't been good in basketball in a while. I don't even know how they're doing this year, if I'm being honest. Seminole basketball. Standings. Oh my god, we suck. 16 and 14, I guess it could be worse. 7 and 12 in our conference. Man. Tough. Winter is a disappointment. My mom showed me a video of me when I'm and my brother sledding from a while ago when we actually got snow. Yeah, winter was a disappointment, Kyle. Tell that to people in Louisiana, southern Louisiana, Alabama, Mississippi, Florida, and coastal South Carolina and North Carolina. They would disagree. They got 1,000% more than their average snowfall. Virginia Beach got crazy amount of snow. Central Southern Virginia saw above average snow. Kentucky got great snow. It wasn't a terrible winter for everyone, but it was a terrible winter for some of us, yes. It was. But some people would be like, no, this was the best winter ever. They just got luckier. It's always good and bad for someone. It's been really bad for the Mid-Atlantic for a while, but at least DC and Baltimore got some good snow systems this year. Virginia Beach, Central Southern Virginia. Still tough in Jersey and PA, though. So what on, Julie? I appreciate you, Ollie. Next Friday we're watching another severe weather system and potentially blizzard, almost a replica of the storm we just had move through, have a chance of moving through. That's a big concern. Yeah. Arizona. Whew. Arizona's been pretty dry. You guys have had a ridge sitting out there for a while. You guys, look at this snow. Decent snow into Arizona. You guys are expected over the next 48 hours. Really, 48 to 72 hours. That could be some good snow for Arizona, especially New Mexico. I don't know if Flowers in here, but that's going to be good snow for Albuquerque, I think. And then right behind it, here's another snow system for elevation in Arizona and New Mexico. Southern Rockies are probably going to do really... Central to Southern Rockies are going to do really good over the next week and a half with snow. Yeah, that includes Park City, Utah. Central to Southern Rockies. Live stream the World Cup. That sounds expensive. These model sites are going to be obsolete. Yeah, they've been saying that for 20 years. We used to just use like weather.com, and when they had the really old models when I was a kid, when I was in like middle school. Trust me. Well, you know, everything goes obsolete eventually with technology. So it's pretty much the same for every industry. Although model sites will never, I'd have to disagree with you on model sites because until you have a perfect weather model, which, you know, like GenCast, GenGraph is what Google's trying to produce, a perfect AI weather model, which is just impossible because our atmosphere is too variable. Then you're going to need sites like this to compare models on. It might not look like this, might be a different type of site, but it's still going to be you're going to have a site that's going to compare different models. There's hundreds of different models being worked on to try to perfect weather forecasting, and you're always going to want to compare one to another. Not model sites like this. I don't understand what you're saying. Yeah, maybe it won't be. I mean, this is over the last, like I said, over the last like 20 years. You're like every few years, there's new model sites that come up that people use. Radar Omega wasn't around forever. Pivotal Weather wasn't around forever. Tropical Tidbits wasn't around forever. Tropical Tidbits was created at Florida State by a Florida State student. So Windy is a newer one. They're constantly coming out with new ones, but they're all the same. They're just showing us different models. We have to have a way to see them. So weather is the only business besides cancer research which has recorded billions and isn't better. You'd be way wrong. Weather models have gotten way better. People get frustrated because the model can't tell you if it's going to rain or thunderstorm, 7 days in the future in your local zip code perfectly and accurately, but that's because they don't understand the difficulty of weather forecasting and all the different parameters that you have to look at and understand. If you compared what we could do with forecasting with strength and precipitation, cold and warm air troughing in the 90s compared to what we can do now, it's not even close. The GFS predicted basically Helene making landfall within 100 miles of where it made landfall and around the intensity that made landfall, like 12 days out. It looked 12 days into the future and got within 100 miles and had the correct category based. Like, that's crazy. I mean, the GFS in hurricane season last year, because they made an update to it, saw like 4 different hurricanes forming 14 days ahead of time before the low pressure system actually formed, before tropical cyclogenesis. Like, for anyone who thinks that the weather forecasting hasn't gotten better, is just not paying attention or doesn't understand it. We can see things that are our HWRF and HAVS models, hurricane analysis forecasting system models, are incredibly good with intensity forecasting compared to where our old models used to be. Our European model, people want it to predict total snowfall down to the inches perfectly a week to 2 weeks out. That's never going to happen. But the Euro model this year has predicted cold air and warm air troughing extremely well. It's looked out multiple times over 10 days and understood exactly when and where a trough was going to dig into the states and how amplified it would be. Temperature-wise, they've gotten incredible. When it comes to precipitation and moisture, there's so much that goes into it. You're not just looking at cold and warm air interaction. You're looking at dry and moist air interaction, and these models are having to adjust constantly for a changing climate. The climate's always changing. Things are always hotter, colder than the year before, and it's just constantly evolving. It's impossible to predict moisture perfectly, and people have unrealistic expectations for for predicting the future, because that's what we're doing. We're taking data and doing our best to predict what's going to happen in the future in the most variable, second most variable real state of air in our solar system. Connor's Tornado Tundra, Connor's Temperature Corner, and Connor's Weather Dungeon. What is poppin'? Is Buffalo get so? What's up, Julie? Yeah, looks like you might get some back-end clipper snow from this system moving out. Here. Pam, I appreciate you. Thank you, Pam. 5-month subscriber. I appreciate you, Pam. This is Pivotal Weather. Yeah, some back-end clipper snow. It looks like it's probably going to move through Buffalo. That's not going to be much. This is what we're watching for. Not much moisture. Maybe a little bit of rain. Not much moisture through Buffalo until we push out into the third week of March. I will say this, Julie. Between the 17th and 21st, very far out, so we can't take the actual future radar perfectly. But between the 17th and the 21st, we see 3 different globals pointing at a massive collapse. Not really, I mean, really just a super amplified trough digging and bringing a lot of snowfall into the Northeast, potentially Mid-Atlantic, back into the Midwest and back into around Buffalo. So this to me looks like a really good opportunity for these kind of mid-latitudes up here to see a big snow between the 17th and the 21st. And I think that may be the last big snow opportunity for Buffalo before we start to see temperatures even out again or start to permanently warm up. But this is still kind of a question mark. I think I actually am giving it, I would give this, I still think it's like a 60-40 of a big snow 17th to the 21st, which is actually a pretty high percentage considering how far out it is. The teleconnections are kind of pointing towards it, the ensemble, so it gives me some sort of confidence. Say you're kidding right now. But again, I do think we see a warming trend after that. Remember, it's third week of March. Snow system isn't anything crazy. This stuff happens every now and then. Do these models show mid-Atlantic getting freezing temps late in March? We will. Yeah, we will. We will. Well, they do. I mean, you guys have gotten used to such warm winters out here in the Mid-Atlantic the last few years. Remember, we just had the coldest. The Mid-Atlantic just had the coldest January on record in 50 years. You can see this is actual temperature. This is actual temperature at the end of the GFS. Don't want to take it too seriously. We're going to see this change. But if you were to look at wind chills at the end of the GFS, it's doing some crazy stuff. It's a little more aggressive than the Euro, but it's putting temperatures down to 10 degrees in New York City at the end of March, wind chill wise, and around 18 into Philly. Pretty cold stuff for the end of March. Not impossible, just because we do have a ton of consensus, and I do like the way the teleconnection ensembles are handling it. But I'm not going to say this is going to 100% happen. I'm just telling you guys there's strong agreement on it happening. We'll have to see how amplified the trough will be. Could pull back a little bit of that cold air, which could actually amplify it a little bit more. We'll see. Winds took down a huge mature spruce at my house last night. Oh my god! Didn't land on your house, did it, Pam? I'm guessing you wouldn't be. You'd probably have bigger problems, and you wouldn't be in this live if it did. Yeah. I have a big tree right next to my house, and it always worries me. Yeah, that sucks. Those big trees take forever to grow, too. 70 miles per hour, that's crazy. Yeah, we were talking about that in stream yesterday, blizzard conditions that were starting through Omaha. All right, I got family coming into town this week, so I have to get to cleaning my house tonight before I go to bed. So, been on here just over an hour. Family coming into town for my son's birthday Friday. I'll get out another video tomorrow. I probably will stream tomorrow. I'm going to either take Friday or Saturday off streaming. I'll have to see. I don't think I'll take both, but I'll have family in town. So, I'll probably just take Friday night off. Yeah, if you guys want to know what tornado season might look like, I did post about it. The one thing I didn't post about was, where, and I'm annoyed. This is the one thing I forgot to put in. Your tornado alley is kind of through here. We're actually expecting the worst of tornado season. When I say we, it's because the agreement in the meteorological community right now is Dixie Alley, and sometimes I'll disagree with the meteorological community. Sometimes I'm right, sometimes I'm wrong. But I do agree with them. It does look like we're going to have our tornadoes focused more into Dixie Alley, at least for the first half of the season out here. So now we could get big tornadoes through here. Regular tornado alley, of course we could. But it looks like right now with the atmospheric setup, Dixie Alley is going to be the focus for March and April. We will probably have the tornadoes compressed down out of the Midwest, the strongest ones, because of all this ice, cold air, and kind of more of a stable atmosphere that's supposed to be up there. But Dixie Alley is a concern, and I do talk about it's expected to be an above average tornado season. Waters in the Gulf are 1.5 degrees Celsius above average. You've got a weak La Nina. Weak La Ninas can pull that, so it can produce a lot of southwesterly wind, pulling that extra humidity, heat, and moisture off the Gulf, especially when the Gulf is above average temperature wise. So yeah, La Ninas historically are very active tornado seasons. So, but I explained that in the video. I will be back on tomorrow. Love you all. You're the best. Later, Julie. Later, Pam. See you, Yali. Later, Sleen. Later, Kyle. What was this? Okay. All right. See you guys. Good night. I'll be back on tomorrow. Peace.